The 3D Mario series is known for having a lot of great creative boss fights, at least compared to the 2D games. And today, I wanted to delve into that aspect of the two Wii installments of the series. Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 contain some of the most legendary bosses amongst any Mario game, so in this video, I thought it'd be fun to take a look at all 28 of them to determine which ones are amazing top tiers and which ones are the bottom of the barrel. But before we start the ranking, let me first explain what qualifies for the purposes of this list. First of all, I am not counting the Underground Grunter and the Mandibug Stack as bosses. One of them is just a glorified enemy in a tank, and the other is quite literally two enemies stacked on top of each other. That does not qualify as a boss. Second of all, any boss that has multiple fights will still only have one entry on the list, except for Bowser, who will have two for both his Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 fights, simply because I feel like they're too different to be ranked as one boss. Also, this should go without saying, but don't take this list too seriously. Obviously, all of this is just my opinion, but on top of that, this list was actually pretty hard to put together. A lot of bosses moved up or down a few places while I was writing the script, so take these numbered placements with a grain of salt. So, with all that said, and without further ado, let's get into the ranking. And we're starting right off with the D tier, comprised of the only two bosses in Galaxy that I legitimately dislike. These two don't really have any redeeming qualities, so let's just get them over with quickly because I do not want to talk about them any longer than I have to. Number 28, Top Maniac. This is a pretty sad excuse for a boss, honestly. It's ridiculously easy, you just jump on him and spin him into the electric rails 3 times. The main problem here is that Top Maniac barely even tries to move out of your way, so jumping on him is just completely free. I guess the enemies he spawns can be somewhat inconvenient, but even then that's kind of a stretch. The worst part is though, that this boss doesn't have one fight, not 2 fights, not even 3, but 4 whole fights in Galaxy 1 alone. I usually don't mind refights when they change the original fight enough and when there's not too many of them, but here not only is there 4 different ones, they also barely change anything. The only slightly notable one is the Daredevil run in Battle Rock, but Top Maniac is so f***ing easy that even reducing your HP to 1 doesn't give this boss any semblance of difficulty. A pretty bad boss fight overall, but hey, I guess it could have been worse. Number 27, Baron Burr. I absolutely hate how this fight starts using the Ice Flower, and then just gives up halfway through. No, really, you use it for like 5 seconds to climb up this little hill, and then never again in this fight. We could have had an actually good boss utilizing one of the coolest Mario power-ups, but no, instead we got a regular enemy, except you need to hit him 3 times instead of 1. Just so disappointing, man. But luckily, we're done with the D tier already, and you know what that means, we're moving on to the C tier. Most bosses here are pretty mid, but they at least have some substance and things I could talk about, unlike these two. Starting the C tier with number 26, Sorbetti. This is often considered one of the worst bosses from the Galaxy games, and yep, it sure is. Sorbetti's design is pretty forgettable, and the fight itself is stupidly easy. He's relatively slow, his weak spot is pretty big and easy to hit, and there's a bunch of obstacles on the planet that slow Sorbetti down, just making him even easier to avoid. This fight is definitely not terrible, just way too easy and quick. Number 25, Dig-a-Leg. Did we really need a whole boss fight centered around the spin drill? The answer is no, we really did not. Dig-a-Leg's design is pretty much just a smaller, less intimidating version of Mega-Leg, and his fight is also pretty mediocre. You have to use the spin drill to hit this glass cage when it's exposed, which is pretty easy to do and just ends up turning into a slightly obnoxious waiting game. I guess the enemies Dig-a-Leg spawns do add a bit of variety to the fight, but it's nonetheless pretty easy and boring. Number 24, Pee-wee Piranha. So I want you to picture this in your head. Imagine Dino Piranha, but sucked dry of all of its charm and everything that made it leave such a great first impression in terms of bosses. Got it? Great. Now what you imagine should be pretty close to Pee-wee Piranha. Okay, but jokes aside, it is so painfully obvious that the devs tried to recreate the charm of Dino Piranha as their first boss, and they just failed completely. Everything from the design to the gameplay, hell even the sound design are all toned down from Dino Piranha. I mean, it's kinda cool how you can ground pound on this shell instead of spinning at it to break it faster. That's a pretty cool speed strat, but it's also definitely not enough to save Pee-wee Piranha from C tier. It's unfortunate because this boss actually has pretty good gameplay, but it's really unoriginal and also actively worse than what it's trying to mimic, so I can't really justify putting Pee-wee Piranha any higher than this. Number 23, Fiery Gobblegut. This one just really annoys me, honestly. It can get pretty difficult to maneuver your way around Gobblegut, trying to hit him while having to avoid the lava puddles on the ground and while his body's in front of the camera covering up your view. This is a pretty hard fight, but not in a fair and fun way, more in a I can't tell the hell's going on and there's fire everywhere way. I also don't get why this boss even exists in the first place, cause the fire thing really does not work with Gobblegut at all. I guess they just really wanted to give Battle Belt a 3rd star for some reason. Overall, hitting the bellyache bulges is still a decently fun gimmick, but yeah, the fire really does not help this one. Number 22, Glamdozer. Much like the galaxy she's in, I find Glamdozer to be really forgettable. The grates used to switch the gravity and hit the boss are a good enough mechanic, but I don't get why you can just walk your way to the other side of the planet when the primary gimmick of Flipsville is to use the grates to switch the gravity. I feel like limiting the access to the side of the planet and forcing you to use the grates to go upside down would have made the boss fight a bit more engaging and difficult. And speaking of difficulty, another reason this boss is so low is I find it way too easy. Glamdozer only has one attack, and while the lava balls are interesting in theory, with them being able to block access to the grates, they're really boring in practice. She doesn't shoot that many, and they're pretty easy to avoid. It doesn't help that she also blindly follows you no matter what, so the fight is super easy to cheese. This boss definitely isn't bad on paper, but it kind of is in practice, unfortunately. Number 21, Terrantox. This boss is fine enough. It's probably the best use of sling pods in the entire game, but that's not really saying much, huh? Well, at least this fight isn't ridiculously easy for a change. The acid Terrantox spews at you can actually be a bit tricky to avoid, especially with the weird gravity of the arena and the rocks on the floor. You also need to hit this guy 6 times instead of 3, which is a nice change of pace from like every Mario boss ever, although it does end up making the fight feel a bit dragged out and long, so I don't know if that's really a good thing. Pretty alright boss, but it never really sticked out to me. Number 20, Rollodillo. This one is kinda carried by the Rock Mushroom, honestly. It's a standard ass fight with the old 3-hit formula and nothing really special to make it stand out, but you actually can't defeat Rollodillo without the Rock Mushroom. He's the only boss in the game like this, which definitely makes him feel more unique, but even then, he's still pretty boring. Not offensively bad or anything, but not very good either. And we're now entering the B tier. This is where the bosses start to get pretty decent, with, for the most part, only 1 or 2 flaws holding them back. Let's start with number 19, Bugaboom. The Bee Mushroom is a pretty unfitting power-up for this boss, so honestly I can't really complain that Bugaboom came back in Galaxy 2 with a Cloud Flower, which is way more fitting for this fight. That said, I still don't enjoy this boss that much. It's solid fun, don't get me wrong. I honestly really like how he periodically turns sideways in the last phase, but it's not all that interesting. And it's also not really threatening, both design-wise and gameplay-wise. It's a decent enough boss, but again, not anything too memorable for me. Number 18, Gobblegut. Basically just a less annoying version of the fiery variant. The gimmick of hitting his pimples one by one to defeat him works well enough, although Gobblegut's body can still get in front of the camera and cover up your view, which is really frustrating. Other than that, it's a perfectly fine and decently difficult boss. I really don't have much more to say. Number 17, Gigalakitu. Hey, isn't it weird that both Mario Galaxy 2 and New Super Mario Bros. Have a boss that's a Lakitu that throws spinies and generates lightning from his cloud? I don't know, I think that's kinda funny. Yeah, anyway, Gigalakitu. He's a pretty good boss. He throws spines at you and you have to chuck them back at him with Yoshi while he's flying around the arena. It's a simple yet pretty good idea for a boss fight. The only actually bad thing I have to say about him is his lightning attack. Cause like, what the fuck is this? It's so easy to avoid. It's small, it's slow, it's predictable, and you get plenty of time to move out of the way. The only thing that attack does effectively is make the fight longer for no reason, since you can't hit Gigalakitu while he's doing this. The rest of the fight is pretty good, but this attack is just really pointless. Overall, not my favorite, but certainly not a bad fight. Number 16, Bowser Jr. This is the first of 3 Bowser Jr. battles on the list, and it's definitely my least favorite. All the other ones are really fun and over the top, so this one is very basic in comparison. You have to throw Koopa shells at Junior's airship while avoiding cannonballs, and in the last phase, he turns his ship around to face you, making it harder to hit, and he throws fireballs instead of cannonballs. It's a simple boss, but it's definitely effective. I like the change in difficulty in the last phase, and it's overall a pretty fun fight. Number 15, King Caliente. This dude spits fireballs and coconuts at you, and you have to spin the coconuts back at him to deal damage. After the first hit though, King Caliente actually starts hitting the coconut back as well, so you have to hit it back and forth to hit the boss. It's pretty fun to do and kinda reminds me of Pong for some reason. The blue lava bubbles that appear in the last phase are also a nice change of pace, as they can actually be a bit tricky to avoid. Plus, I think it's funny how he loses his crown after the second hit. Not really much to say here, King Caliente is just a pretty solid early game boss. Number 14, Dino Piranha. The very first boss in the Galaxy games, and it leaves a great first impression. For something that's literally in the second star you ever get, this is actually pretty unique. I really like Dino Piranha's design. It's just the right mix of intimidating and cartoonish, and his fight, while a bit simple, is pretty good. The gimmick of spinning at the end of his tail to fling it back in his face isn't the craziest thing in the world, but it's effective and works very well as a way to get the player used to the spin ability at the beginning of the game. I know this boss is easy as shit, and I've hinted very heavily towards the fact that I don't like that for most bosses, but if there's one context in which I don't mind a fight being easy, it's when it's the very first one in the game. Also, I honestly find Dino Piranha to still be really satisfying to take down, even after beating him dozens of times. Plus, like I already mentioned, I think he serves as a really good introduction to Mario Galaxy bosses. Number 13, Squizzard. Squizzard is a really weird boss, in the sense that I like him. I actually enjoy fighting him quite a bit, yet I don't really have much to say about him. You fight him in this little area where he'll throw rocks at you which you need to avoid, while also trying to not get pushed into him by the moving sand. Squizzard will then open his mouth after attacking, and you need to throw a couple fireballs at his face to damage him. It's a pretty good and difficult enough boss fight, and that's it. It's just good. It's not bad in any ways that are interesting to talk about, and it doesn't really go above and beyond either. I don't have anything to say about Squizzard except from the fact that he is a good boss. That's it. Anyway, moving on. Number 12, Camilla. This is pretty much just a better version of the Bowser Jr. airship fight. It still has the same general gimmick of chucking shells at an airborne boss, but I do find Camilla to be a bit more engaging for a few reasons. First off, her movement is more unpredictable. In the Junior fight, he pretty much just slowly moves from side to side with no real variation, but Camilla actually teleports randomly after every hit. In her second fight, the arena you fight her from also changes in her last phase, getting much smaller and more cramped, which adds a bit of difficulty. I think it's also nice that the shells aren't just given to you for free here, and you instead need to wait for Camilla to cast a spell that will summon one. Pretty good boss, all things considered. Alright, now it's time for the A tier. A for almost S tier or something, I don't know. The bosses here start to get very good, and I don't really have anything else to say, so let's just begin the A tier right now with number 11, Kingfin. This boss and the galaxy he's in are absolutely amazing thematically. Kingfin design is really cool, and it kinda looks like a chunkier and more menacing version of a fishbone. It also fits really well with Bonefin Galaxy's more lonely and gloomy vibe. And the little cutscene before the boss, along with the music playing during the fight, make the ambience here immaculate. The gameplay isn't all that great though. First of all, I don't really like Galaxy's water controls, even with the shells, but also, Kingfin kinda just does nothing in the first phase. He just wanders around, and it's only after you hit him once that he starts spawning bone fins to attack you. Even then, bone fins don't make for that interesting of an attack. They're a perfectly fine enemy, but this being Kingfin's only real attack is a bit underwhelming. This boss isn't bad by any means, the design and theme of it are still amazing, but the gameplay does feel a tiny bit lackluster. Number 10, Major Burrows. I'm not gonna lie, a good part of the reason why this guy is so high on the list is because of his design. Much like Dino Piranha, it's just the perfect balance between cartoonish and intimidating. Although I'd say Major Burrows is definitely more goofy, which I love since it fits Gusty Garden really well. I also really like how he turns red in his last phase, and his face is so expressive and funny as well. Anyway, yeah, the fight itself. It's actually pretty good too. It does follow the same old 3-hit formula that all Mario bosses follow, which is a bit disappointing, but it's really not that bad here, since he gets a bit more difficult with every hit. After the first, he starts running away when you get him out of the ground, and in his last phase you need to ground pound twice to get him out of the ground for good. So overall, a great charming boss that I just really love. Number 9, Bowser Mario Galaxy 2. This is just a really good Bowser fight. I honestly love the meteors here. Trying to aim them at Bowser without them hitting the planet in the tight span of time before they disappear is really fun. Each fight also progressively gets harder by adding new attacks, with Bowser spewing fire, him punching the ground, and the meteors creating lasers in the final fight. But speaking of the final fight, the main reason this is under the Galaxy 1 fight is because of a section in Bowser's Galaxy Generator. After you finish that last refight of Bowser, you try to collect your well-earned Grand Star until... This is a really cool way to give the final fight a second, more difficult phase. The unexpected reveal at the end in the same setting as every other Bowser fight where nothing like this happened previously is genius. And then you get to the fight and it's this. Yeah, so this is really underwhelming to say the least. They really put the most surprising reveal at a point in the game where the tension is at an all-time high to then give you a boss fight on the same level of difficulty as the Mandibug stack. Actually, this might even be easier. No, like I'm dead serious. Bowser moves really slowly here. He takes a shit ton of time before hitting you, giving you plenty of time to shove a meteor in his face. And even if you do somehow manage to get hit, well, it doesn't even matter because the meteor you're standing on will get destroyed and drop a coin, so you can instantly regain the HP you just lost. Like, why the f is something so unbelievably easy in the final Bowser fight? This embarrassment of a boss following up one of the coolest cutscenes in the entire game is the very definition of anticlimactic. Yeah, but aside from that, the other fights are really good. I just really hate the last part of the final one, so I put the overall Galaxy 2 Bowser fight under the Galaxy 1 fight, but this one is still amazing, I swear. Anyway, moving on. Number 8, the Womp King. This is a really fun throwback to the Womp King boss fight for Mario 64. You start by defeating this regular Womp, and right when you think it's over, this trapdoor in the floor opens up and brings you to the real fight. In here, you'll have to fight a huge Womp King that takes 3 hits to defeat, stuns you in place when he slams himself on the ground, and can spawn little Womp minions that try to attack you. This is a really good way to remake a fight from 64. The new attacks make the Womp King feel like an actual Galaxy boss fight, and not like a remake of one that was made 30 years ago. And the fake out with the regular Womp before the real fight is just the cherry on top. All in all, a really good boss, and one of my favorites from Galaxy 2. Number 7, Bowser Mario Galaxy 1. And there we have the Galaxy 1 Bowser fight. The first 2 fights are pretty simple. You just have to make Bowser jump onto these spots with lava on their little planet to then be able to hit him. But what really makes this one better than the Galaxy 2 version for me is the final fight. And by that, I don't just mean that the final Galaxy 2 Bowser fight is dogshit, I also mean that the final Galaxy 1 fight is actually really good. You start off on the small planet where Bowser generates lasers and then tries to charge at you in this rock. While he's doing this, you have to spin at his face to send him spinning the other way, and then attack him once more to finally get to the second phase. This time, you're on another small planet face to face with Bowser, and you pretty much attack him in the same way, except this time you have to hit him with these plants instead of directly spinning at him. Hit him a couple times here and you move on to the third and last phase. This time around, you're brought to the glass planet with lava in its center, reminiscent of the previous Bowser fights, while one of the best boss themes of all time plays in the background. Here, Bowser will generate lasers, shoot fire, and charge at you, this time completely covered by his shell so you can't attack him directly. You instead have to wait for him to jump, so you can direct him right into the lava and hit him. Do that twice, and finally, the fight is over. The gameplay here is actually really good. I like the diversity in the ways you have to hit Bowser, and getting him to jump right onto the glass above the lava is always so satisfying. Not only that, but this boss feels perfectly epic and grandiose for the ending of a game like Super Mario Galaxy. Plus, the other 2 fights before the last one are also pretty fun. Overall, just a really great boss all throughout, and an amazing ending to one of my favorite games of all time. Number 6, Fiery Dino Piranha. This is the OG Fiery boss, and oh my god, it is miles ahead of Fiery Gobblegut. The fire here actually makes the boss more interesting instead of more annoying. Fiery Dino Piranha still has the exact same gimmick of flinging his tail in his face 3 times, except this time it's on fire, so you can't actually hit it. That is, until the fire goes out for a few seconds, and you have to react fast enough to spin his tail before the fire comes back. In the last phase, this cycle gets even faster, meaning you have even less time to react, and Dino Piranha even starts spewing lava balls, which all makes the fight even more intense. I really like this change. The main issue I had with Dino Piranha was that fight was way too easy, but the added difficulty of having to deal with the fire really makes this boss fantastic. On top of that, Fiery Dino Piranha also looks really cool, and I think the red and black color palette fits really well with Melty Molten Galaxy. Really, no comments here, this boss is just nearly perfect. Number 5, Prince Picante. This fight honestly feels like an upgrade to King Caliente. Prince Picante throws coconuts and fireballs at you, just like him, and you defeat Prince Picante the same way you defeat King Caliente. But this guy can actually move, and he chases you down with his tank for the whole duration of the fight. The area you fight him in is also really interesting. It's very big and open, and the floor is made of ice, so you get to skate while fighting him, which is a lot of fun. Prince Picante will also sometimes shoot up at the sky, making it rain a bunch of fireballs and coconuts. This makes the coconuts a lot harder to hit, and the fireballs leave a big puddle of lava when they hit the ground, which makes the boss all the more difficult. Prince Picante is just really fun and engaging. I like him a lot. Number 4, Mega Leg. Yet another boss where the theming is perfect. You climb up this giant robot to reach the top of its head, where you need to attract a bullet bill to destroy this glass cage containing a grand star. You first destroy this wall surrounding the cage, and then an alarm goes off, spawning a second wall. You then need to destroy that second wall to finally be able to destroy the cage itself, or you could just skip it entirely if you're good enough at the game. Like I said, the theming here is great. Climbing up and destroying this giant robot feels really cool, and the gameplay isn't so bad either. The bullet bill thing is a bit simple, sure, but it still works really well in the context of Mega Leg's fight. This is definitely a fan favorite boss from Galaxy 1, and I don't think I really need to sell you on it. I mean, it's Mega Leg. What's there not to love? Alright, now we're getting to the elite, the best of the best, the S tier. These last 3 bosses are absolutely amazing, some of the best in the whole Mario series in my opinion. So let's not waste any more time and start right off with number 3, Mega Hammer. Remember 13 segments ago when I said that the Bowser Jr. airship boss was my least favorite out of the 3 Bowser Jr. fights? Yeah, this one is my second favorite, and it's at number 3. That should give you a pretty good idea of how much I like these fights. Anyway, yeah, Mega Hammer is really good. It's one of the rare bosses that actually uses Yoshi, and out of the 2 we do have, Mega Hammer definitely makes better use of him. Throwing Spinies to hit Giga Lakitu was a pretty good gimmick, but the bullet bills here are definitely a step up. You need to eat them with Yoshi and spit them back out at specific spots on the mech Bowser Jr. built himself to destroy it, which is, in my opinion, a lot of fun. Oh, and speaking of that mech, it looks so good. I love the design of it. It looks so ridiculously big and overkill while also being kinda goofy, which fits with the personality of Junior perfectly. Same thing applies for the music. It sounds so unserious yet somehow intimidating at the same time. I absolutely love it. If I had one problem with Mega Hammer though, it'd be the second phase. The first phase is great. You have to hit the 2 blue spots in front of the mech twice to destroy them, and then do the same with the last blue spot on his back, which can actually be really tricky to do before he turns around. It's difficult, it's fun, it's intense, it's really amazing. Then there's the second phase. You basically have to hit this glass cage while he's trying to squish you with his hammers. The problem is, this is pretty easy to do. For some reason, the hammers never even hit you, you just get trapped between the 2 of them. And hitting the glass cage itself requires little to no effort. You just jump twice and launch a bullet bill, then do that again and the phase is over. I mean, this is still pretty satisfying to pull off, and obviously it doesn't really make this fight any worse. The first phase is still incredible, and overall, taking down this huge mech piece by piece is still a ton of fun. Definitely one of the highlights of Galaxy 2 for me. Number 2, Bouldergeist. This is probably the most iconic Mario Galaxy boss, and for good reason. It's fun, it's difficult, it's imaginative, it's really cool thematically. Oh my god, is it incredible. Well, alright, let's start with the gameplay first. The first phase is definitely the weaker of the 2, but it's a good introduction to the fantastic boss you're about to fight. It serves as a good way to get you used to the bomb boos, as well as Bouldergeist's main attack, the flying rock things. Yeah, I don't really know how to call these. One thing you'll also notice is Bouldergeist actually requires 3 hits per phase, taking at least 6 hits to go down. Then the second phase makes the fight even more interesting. After the first hit, Bouldergeist grows a pair of hands and... Wait, I've seen that before. This is honestly such a genius change. Not only does Bouldergeist get more attacks from this, now being able to slam the ground and punch you with his fist, the hands also act as protection for his body. They actually take hits from the boos as well, so you have to destroy one of them first, to then have access to Bouldergeist's body and hit him. That's why I said he takes at least 6 hits, because you might need a little more to take out the hands too. There is a speed strat to hit Bouldergeist without destroying his fists however, so it is still doable in 6 hits. Yeah, so that was the gameplay, and I haven't even touched on the design or ambience yet. Actually, let's do that right now because this segment's getting really long. So, I love Bouldergeist's design. I think the idea of a ghost hidden inside of a rock body is really cool, and paired with the yellow eyes, the floating hands, and the intimidating look on his face, it makes for a boss that looks perfectly threatening and creepy. The overall vibe of the fight also plays into this really well. The music, the skybox, the noises Bouldergeist makes, everything comes together wonderfully to make a really creepy and nerve-wracking vibe that I absolutely love, and that fits really well with how difficult this boss is. So overall, Boulder Guys has amazing gameplay, perfect difficulty, a super original design, and fantastic theming. It really does not get any better than this, huh? Except it does. Number 1, the Boomsday Machine. I mean, what else could I even put at number 1? The Boomsday Machine is actually perfect in every single way possible. Everything you could ever want in a boss fight is here. It's perfectly difficult, it's incredibly fun, it uses the best Mario power-up ever conceived, and in a very creative way too. It has absolutely godly music. I mean, literally everything about this boss is amazing. Alright, well I'm actually going to be going backwards here and talking about the gameplay last, since that's definitely what I have the most to say about. Let's just talk about the music first, and like I already mentioned, it's an absolute banger. I really love Mario Galaxy 2's soundtrack already, but this song is honestly one of my favorites. It just sounds so great, and it's really fitting for the last Bowser Jr. fight of the game. Continuing with the non-gameplay aspects, I really like the atmosphere of this fight. The red skybox and the music really convey the feeling that this is a late game boss, and so does the design of the machine itself, with how big and menacing it is, and with the way it uses dark colors. But now, for the most important aspect of any Mario boss, what about the gameplay? Well, obviously, it's really good. You start off with just this tower and Bowser Jr. in his cockpit, and pretty quickly you see what I love most about this fight. It lets you use the Cloud Flower. Like I already mentioned, this is my favorite Mario power-up of all time, so getting to use it for the whole duration of the fight is a huge plus. You have to use the platforms of the Cloud Flower and the giant fans on the ground to tower your way up to Bowser Jr. while avoiding the fire bars and the electricity balls of the Boomsday Machine, to then ground pound the glass cage covering him. After doing that once, the machine activates a new attack. On top of everything else, it will now try to suck you in, drawing you closer to the electricity balls, and even deleting your cloud platforms if you let yourself get too close to the machine. Manage to hit Junior once again, and the final change to the fight will be revealed. This time, the machine grows a tank below itself, making it even taller and making it able to move around and chase you. This last phase can get really difficult and intense, although it is somewhat balanced out by the fact that you have an extremely OP power-up at your disposal. The Cloud Flower really makes this bump in difficulty feel justified, and keeps the fight feeling super fun and not unfair. After smashing the glass cage on the machine one final time, Bowser Jr. is down for good. The machine explodes and you're awarded with your well-earned Grand Star. Like I've been saying since the start of this segment, this boss is just incredible. Everything comes together perfectly to make an absolutely amazing boss fight in every regard. A boss fight that I 100% believe deserves the title of the best boss in the 2 Mario Galaxy games. And that's it for this video. I really hope you all enjoyed watching it, even though it took an absurdly long time to come out. And yeah, about that, why the hell did this video take 3.5 months to come out? Well, I had some unfortunate events in my life happen during the making of this ranking, which made it take a way longer time than I expected. That, and it was also just really long. The script for it ended up being nearly twice as long as the script for my last video, and the same goes for the length of this video. I think it's gonna end up being 30 minutes long. Hopefully the next vid should take less than 3 months to make, but you know, I can't promise anything. Well, that's about all I had to say. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.